Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are continuing our series on solving the same array comparison problem. But this time we will use a faster and more efficient approach called the frequency counter method. This is part 2, so if you missed the nested loop version in part 1, check that out first. You can find the link in the description. Here I made two files, readme and app.js. In readme file, you can find the solution step by step. Here's a quick reminder of the problem statement. We need to write a function called same that takes in two arrays. It should return true if every value in the first array has its corresponding squared value in the second one, and the frequency of values must match. For example, this one, 1, 2, 3, the second array, 1, 4, 9, it will be true because we have squared for every value is squared here, and also we can find the frequency value match. Also, the second example will be true, but this one will be false. This problem may seem simple at first, but how we solve it, it's really affect our performance. In the last video, we used nested loop to compare values, and while that worked, the time complexity was of n squared, not ideal for large database. The frequency counter method helped us to do this comparison in just of n linear time, using object to store counts rather than doing repeated search and nested loops. It's faster, cleaner, and much more scalable, perfect for interview setting and real-world apps. In app.js, we will start our code. First, we will define a function called same. So const same, which will take array1 and array2 as a parameter. And inside the function, we will start our first step. First step, we will compare the length between for each array. So we will use if condition. So if array1.length is not equal to array2.length, it will return false. Second step, we have to initialize a frequency counter as an object. We will create frequency counter 1 by let as an empty object and frequency counter 2 as also an empty object. These are plain JavaScript objects. Each will store how many times each number occurs in its respective array. For the third step, we will count the frequency in array 1. So we will use for of loop to count all the frequency in the array 1 and store it in the object. Here, I will console log the frequency counter 1 to show the result. I will use case to see what will we get. We will open the terminal and we will write node app.js to run the file. And here we find in the first one, number 1 has its 1 value, and in the second iteration 2 has its 1 value, and third one get the 3. So for the frequency counter 1, we can find that each number had its value as 1 in this stored in this object. Also, we need to create the frequency counter 2, so we will repeat this step again, and we will use for of loop and looping over array 2 to create the frequency counter 2. I will comment this one, and in the terminal I will write node.js node app.js to run the code. So I will save it again, clear to clear the terminal, and run the frequency counter 2 here. So for frequency counter 2, we can find this object as each one have its value. Number 1 has value 1, 4 has value 1, and 9 has value 1. So we made the two frequency counter. Each one we stored the array corresponding array value as key pair value. For step 5, we need to compare between each counter, each object, to find if we can find the numbers squared or not. So I will write here the code, and in README we can break this code step by step. First, we will check if square exists. So here we will use if condition. If we don't find the key squared in the frequency counter 2, so we return false. For example, we'll take number 2 from this array and we will square it, so it will be 4. And check, is 4 in the frequency counter 2? This is on the frequency counter 1 and this frequency counter 2. So we take the 2, square it and check it. Yes, it's here, so it's true. If not, then it will return false. After that, we need to check if frequencies match. So in frequency counter 2, we have the key squared by 2. If it's not as a frequency, this one will give us the value, as this is the key, and we'll get the value. If this value is not equal the value for frequency counter 1, so we return false. Is the number of times 2 appears in the array 1 the same as the number of times 4 as a value? Here, number 2 has 2 value, as a value has 2. And yes, also number 4 has 2 value. It appears 2 times. So it's true. If not, it will return false. And for the last step, if we found all the checks, it's not false, so we will return true. Now we can test this one by opening the terminal, clear, and we will run node app.js. It gives us true. Also, we can use another two cases. Open terminal, and for the first one it's true, and for the second one it's false, as this array has 3 items and this one has 2 items. And for the third one also it's false, because here I have 1 2 1, but here I haven't the same frequency, as I have 1 4 4, so the missing one square. The frequency counter battle is very efficient and give us O of n as a linear time complexity, and this concept is super useful in many problems like anagram checking, duplicated detection, character frequency. With the frequency counter battle, we reduce our time complexity, and that's a huge improvement, especially as n gets larger. If you like this breakdown, drop a like and subscribe for more JavaScript content. The source code and details blog post are linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy coding.